If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Benjamin Franklin. Finding the right plan is the difference between winning a nice game and losing miserably. In this video, I'm gonna show you a step-by-step process of identifying a powerful plan in your chess game. This is exactly the system I use to beat grandmasters in my tournament games. What's up, chess player, and welcome to the Journey to Grandmaster, the place where you can improve every single aspect of your chess game. So today we talk about how to find the powerful plan. That would be the first step. Second, I'm gonna show you exactly how to execute it the right way, because it's not enough just to know what you should do. It's important to understand how exactly you need to make it a reality. And third, very important, I'm gonna explain you the difference of finding the right plan in the middle game versus the difference of doing it in the end game. There is a key point that you absolutely must know if you want to crush your very next chess opponent. There are 3 steps that I want you to follow to find the right plan in your chess game. I noticed this key mistake that pretty much all of the students I have are making. Even if they have really good intentions of what they want to do in the game, they somehow ended up choosing a completely wrong idea. Why that happens? Because of the one key principle that they forget about or they just ignore it. You have to play on the side of the board where you are stronger. Otherwise, you are not going to find out the right plan. So in this position, a very important game for me, my tournament classical chess, I'm playing against the strongest guy in the tournament, top rated one, almost a grandmaster, like close to 2500 elo rated, and I'm playing as white. I want to win the game because we are fighting for the first place. So what is the plan? First moment where you are coming up with a plan is in the late opening, early middle game. Because, well, all of your pieces are more or less developed now, and you need to understand what actually you are gonna do. Your king is very secured, it's essential for the right plan to work, so now you're ready to go. First step, where are you stronger? Here for white, it's pretty clear for me. If it's not for you, then please pause the video for a second and try to understand where you're stronger here. I would argue it's king side. Why? Because here white has more pawns and a potential to attack. Whereas black has more pawns here on the queen side, and if you give enough time to black, then they're gonna just break through, create a passer here. They already create a threat here, attacking the c3 pawn. So we are stronger on the king side. We need to attack here, create our counterplay, and destroy our opponent on this side of the board. And we better do that faster than our opponent does it on this part of the board where he is stronger. Okay, so now that we understand where we should play, we need to figure out the exact idea that would be the single focus of our plan, because so many players, they are focusing on too much things, like they are making one move here and they are thinking it's smart, they are attacking something, then the very next move they completely forget about it and start doing something else, and it's not gonna work that way in chess. You need to find one really good idea. In this case, I'm going to reveal the secret. It's the move e4. Now, we need to make e4 possible. How do we do that? We have to have enough defenders, at least as many as our opponent has attackers, to make it possible. So it already guides our mindset a little bit. Now we just need to figure out the best way to make it possible. So you have a high level goal, which is to win the game in chess. By the way, it's very important that you really have it, because in this particular game, I made the move d4, my opponent played knight f6 and offered me a draw. Move number 1, it's a classical tournament situation. Very important game, board number 1, he offers me a draw. Like, what on earth am I supposed to do? I was a little bit shocked because I didn't expect it to happen. But I said, I'm playing as white, I really want to fight, I really want to try to win this game, and I came here to fight. So let me just play it. And so now I have this clear mindset, I'm not thinking about any draws, because in that way your strategy might be different. That's very important to understand. So it's always better to just have one goal in mind to win the game, and to achieve that, well, you need to play actively. You cannot just sit there forever and, well, hope that somehow it's gonna work, or you cannot just sit there and defend passively, hoping that your opponent is gonna blunder something. No, you need to be in the driver's seat, especially if you're playing as white, and you need to create those threats. So I have that high-level goal to win the game. To achieve that, I have this concrete plan of making e4 possible so that I open up the position, then I'm gonna create threats. By the way, I have two bishops here, which is an indicator that it's great for me to open up the position and attack my opponent with the help of those bishops. And so I'm playing here the move queen to c1. First of all, of course, I never ignore what my opponent threatens. It's so essential in chess. So many players are completely forgetting that they are not playing alone, and that leads to a disaster because you have a real human being sitting on the opposite side of the chessboard who has his or her dreams, hopes, and ideas and threats, and definitely he or she also tries to come up with a plan. And black's plan here, as I mentioned, to attack on the queen side as well as to control this e4 square. In this type of situation, it always comes down to who controls that e4 square. If white can make e4 possible and break through, white would be better. If black can cement this square and control it, then black is gonna dominate the game. So my opponent plays here rook to e8, developing a new piece. Remember, he's almost 2500 rated, almost a grandmaster. He's so strong, he of course understands that that is my goal, so he tries to prevent it. I played queen to c1 to protect that pawn on c3 tactically. My opponent cannot take it on c3. I'm gonna jump with my bishop all the way to h7 with a check and win the queen. Of course, it's a child trick and my strong opponent wouldn't really fall for it, but it's a tactical justification of why this pawn can remain without any defense. Now I'm playing knight to d2. If you understand what your plan is, your concrete goal of making e4 possible, then it's so much simpler for you to find the right move. That is exactly why having a plan in chess is so important. Otherwise, you're just making those random moves without the concrete goal you're going for, and they are not consistent with each other, and this way you're not a computer. You cannot just play without any goals at all, because you're just gonna come to a completely wrong place. I know my plan, that is why I do everything to prepare it. Plays queen a6, which was a little bit a surprise for me, because he is making another move with the queen, but he has a concrete purpose to defend this pawn on c4 so that when I play e4, it's protected. Now I'm playing queen to b1. My queen doesn't need to be on c1 anymore to protect that pawn. Nobody's attacking it. So now on b1, it's actually controlling the diagonal, and I add yet another defender for this e4 pawn. So all is dedicated to my one goal, my concrete target to make e4 possible. He plays queen to c6. He wants to stop. So you see that the entire game here is all about whether I can play e4 or not. I do everything to make it possible. He does everything to stop it. Who is going to be more successful? Well, basically, is going to have a very good chance to win the game. I'm playing here the move a4. I decided that, okay, I also want to stop my opponent's idea. I don't think I'm alone. I don't think that it's only about me making this e4 pawn possible. My opponent can also here play b5, a5, and create those threats along the queen side. I want to stop it completely, shut it down, and grab more space there. He plays h6. And now I'm even going one step further. I still want to make e4 possible, but right now it's not such a great idea. If I do that, he is gonna just take it. So I'm making this move queen to b5. I'm offering this queen's exchange because afterwards I'm gonna still be able to play e4, and all of the weaknesses he has in his camp is gonna remain there, and I'm actually gonna have even more chances to outplay my opponent. I have a pair of bishops. This type of advantage never disappears if you exchange the queens, but my opponent will have more limited resources to create some counterplay. So I would be the only guy who can create those threats and play for a win. So he plays the move queen to e6. He wants to, of course, stop me from doing that. I'm playing rook f to e1. In general, it's always great to put your rook against your opponent's queen, but also I'm one step away from finally implementing this plan, making it possible. e4 is on the way. That is why he plays the move a6. He kicks my queen away so that he creates a counter threat. I am not able to break through with my plan. And now, if you are not thinking about one key idea, one plan that you must execute in your game, you have absolutely no idea what the move you are making as white. Where should the queen go? You can go to a5 because it controls so many squares. You can go to b4 to control the entire dark squares diagonal here. But if you're thinking about your clear goal, which is to play e4, it's so clear where the queen should go, isn't it? It must go back to b1. And I tricked my opponent because now I'm ready to play e4 and my rook is already on e1. It was not the case before I played the move queen to b5, and now my opponent's queen is very badly placed and I'm ready to play e4. To stop that, he desperately wanted to stop that, because otherwise he's basically busted if I achieve that. He plays the move knight e4. And that is also great. Yes, I cannot play my idea anymore, but my opponent had to weaken his position a lot to stop me from doing that. This video is brought to you by Chestnut. Chestnut is making amazing chessboards that allow you to play online from a real 3D board. They have high quality chessboards, nice looking chess pieces, so that you can enjoy and having fun playing it. Chestnut boards also have so many training functions that I absolutely love to use to my training, and it helps me to improve my chess every day. This is, for example, Chestnut Evo. I love to use it for my trainings, but they have so much to offer you depending on your preferences and your budget. And the best part is you can just use the promo code Journey to Grandmaster or click the link in the description to get a big discount on all of the Chestnut products. That leads me to the next important principle that you absolutely must use in your own games. What to do if you cannot execute your plan anymore? Well, you need to come up with a new one, and it should be based on your strengths and your opponent's weaknesses. So in this position, I'm just exchanging that knight with a bishop, because afterwards my opponent has no way to save this little guy on c4. Remember what I told you, if I play e4 and exchange those pawns, the c4 pawn might be without any defender. Well, this way it is exactly what happened. Of course, I haven't managed to open up the file, but okay, I'm playing queen to a2, queen to b4 would be just as good as after knight b4. Yes, he protected the pawn for now, but I'm just playing a5, I kick the knight away, and I play queen takes c4. Now, my opponent has prepared something very tricky, and that is why you never should underestimate your opponent. This is the key mistake almost all of the players under 2000 are making. They're only focused on what they can do and never think what their opponent can do in response. Here, my very strong opponent plays the move queen to f5. He's attacking this bishop on f4, but it's not the only idea he has. He also wants to finally finish his development, bringing the bishop to e6, and that would be devastating for my queen. I'm gonna have this huge problem, and then the rook comes and the c3 pawn would be hanging, so that's no good news. At this point, I need somehow recharge myself. Okay, we have passed that stage where I was trying to play e4, we have passed that stage when I was trying to win the pawn on c4, I've achieved that. I need a new plan. I need some general key idea so that I can go on and actually bring this game to a victory. So I play here the move queen to b3. My plan is to stop this huge attack from this bishop and to push those pawns forward, because that is my strength. I actually have two connected pawns that can go forward and control all of the squares. And also, of course, my opponent wants to take here, and he did that, otherwise he does absolutely nothing. Then suddenly this e-file is getting opened, and remember, that's exactly what I wanted from the very beginning. So I thought, okay, let me give this pawn back, but then I have a clear target. Once again, that's always what you want to have, a clear target to attack. I have those pawns, and I have all of my pieces activated. Like this rook is about to come there. He played king h7 because he can no longer play f5 or anything like that. My queen is very powerful, and this pawn structure is also horrible for him. He cannot develop his bishop as the pawn on b7 is hanging. So everything is connected together. My position is much better. He plays king to h7 with an idea to play f5 and somehow cement those pawns here. But I'm using this momentum to create another threat for him. So the more threats you can create against your opponent, the more miserable you can make his life or her life, the more chances you're gonna get to win the game. And it doesn't matter whether you're playing against a 1000 elo rated opponent or 2500 rated opponent. Still, the same strategy works. g3. He plays queen to c7. It's so uncomfortable for this queen to go somewhere because the f7 pawn is hanging, the e4 pawn is hanging, and you still want to play f5, so you don't want to play queen f5, then I'm gonna just attack the e4 pawn again, and you are losing it anyway. So he played queen to c7 instead. I'm a simple man, I see a pawn that I can take, I don't see any punishment for that, so I'm just taking it. Knight to e4. You also always want to bring your knight into the center of the game where it stands beautifully. But normally when you play against a very strong opponent, he is not just sitting there waiting for his side. He wants to really create a counter threat, he wants to get counterplay. And that is the moment where so many players are stuck, so many players are getting difficulties, including me. I spoiled so many great positions in my chess career. You are thinking, okay, I'm doing so great, my opponent doesn't have anything, but he actually step by step, maybe he gives up some material, but he builds some initiative and he starts creating threats. And you have to be careful with it. You have to really follow your opponent's counterplay. Like, you have to think not only about your plan, but also what is your opponent's plan and how to stop that, whether it's really dangerous for you. So I'm playing here rook a to e1. Of course, you want to bring every single one of your pieces into the game. You don't want any unemployment going on. Everybody has to be involved with the party. He takes here on e4 because I'm creating a huge threat of knight f6, just winning all of the material, checks are all over the place, so he takes here. I'm more active, I have an extra pawn, so his chance is to exchange those pieces, so he can equalize the activity of our pieces with a move rook to c8. Now we both have improved all of our pieces, and the question is, can I somehow deal with it, protect everything, or should I attack? What should I do? Now the position has changed tremendously, and this is another time where I need to figure out a plan. My last plan was to win that pawn on e4, I have achieved that. Okay, what to do next? You see that this idea of creating the right plan, it's not like you are doing it once in a game and then you follow all the way through until the end. No, it changes so often. Here, I need to win the game. How do I do that? I don't need to stay passive and somehow play rook e3 and protect everything, although that also is one of the steps. But first, I wanted to try active things. I wanted to be attacking. I wanted to use my activity as well as extra pawn to create threats for my opponent. So I decided, okay, he has those weaknesses, b7 and f7, as well as the king on h7 that I potentially might attack. At the same time, my opponent's plan is to maybe equalize the material and create threats against my king. So I need to take care of that and think what I can do against that. I'm playing the move rook to e5. And I'm saying, yes, you can take my pawn, and that's exactly what he did. But you also have a lot of weaknesses that I can take advantage of, and I'm doing it right now with the move queen takes f7. I'm preparing the queen f5 check and some variations. I'm preparing the move rook e7, attacking that g7 pawn, creates threats for my opponent. He plays queen d3. He absolutely must stop that because it's so devastating. He could not have taken the pawn on d4. I would have queen f5 check and the game would be over in a few moves. But now he is creating another threat for my king with rook c1 and queen f1, and every time your opponent makes a move, stop for a second. Whatever you were thinking about your actions, your ideas, try to understand what is the idea behind his move. And don't only think that he only wants to defend. Because I might think, okay, he wants to stop my queen f5 idea, that's all, I can just think about my moves. No, try to understand all of the ideas that your opponent has. In this case, he wants to play rook c1, king g2, and queen f1, kicking my king away. My king would be miserable. That is exactly what black's plan here is and what I have to stop. Therefore, I played the move king to g2, which is one way. h4 was even better, almost winning this game here, but well, I'm not superhuman. I just made normal moves. And after rook c1, I thought, okay, he's creating those threats. Let me transfer my advantage from attacking the king, because we are both attacking the opponent's king now, to a clear rook's endgame that I am sure I have a very, very good chance to win. But it's essential to understand what is the right plan. It's all the same, whether it's an early middle game, late middle game, or the deep endgame, you need to figure out the right plan to win the game. How do you do that in the endgame? My opponent plays rook to d1. First of all, you once again play on your strengths. In this case, my strength is, of course, this pawn on the d file because it's a passer. In the endgame, you always want to create passers to, well, promote a pawn, make a queen, and win the game. Secondly, in the endgame, it's still essential to understand what is your opponent's plan. You never play alone, so you need to understand what he wants to do. In this case, my opponent would be happy to create a passer on his own on the queen side so that he has some counterplay. Everybody, if they are smart in chess, they try to create counterplay. So you need to be careful about that and not allow your opponent to create counterplay. And third, very, very important thing, and that differentiates hugely middle game plan from end game plan, the importance of king activity. I can't emphasize it enough. Most of the chess players get it wrong, they completely forget about their king, but the importance of king changes hugely from opening middle game to the end game, because in the end game it becomes a warrior, a piece that you should actively use to win. So you need to think, okay, what is my strategy in terms of the king? How am I planning to use it? In most of the cases, you want the king to go towards the center or towards a place where all of the main actions are going to happen. In this case, I have this passer, so I generally want my king to be there to support the pawn. So that's exactly what I started to do. I played rook d5 because I want to control everything, rook d3. I wanted to somehow remaneuver my king towards the center. My opponent doesn't allow that. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna actually do it the other way around. Rook d3, I'm gonna play h4. I'm gonna improve my pawns here because I'm also stronger here. I have 3 pawns against 2, so I have my chance to go forward, maybe even create another passer. That would be even better. My opponent realizes that if he is just staying there passively, it's not gonna work for him. So he switches to the active technique and he plays rook b3. I don't care, I play h5. Actually, what I was so surprised about, that he, even though he's so strong, almost a grandmaster, he completely ignores the importance of his king activity. It stays there the entire game, not doing anything at all. Please don't do that in your game. That is what costed my opponent the game. I mean, this position is so difficult to make a draw, but still, you cannot do it without the king. So he played b6, I took it. Now rook takes, and I played the move rook a5. So importance of stopping your opponent's counterplay, so essential. Yes, he has a passer now, but it's completely stopped. He can never do anything with it. And all I want to do is march with my king forward and then go forward with my pawn, promote the queen, and that hopefully should be enough. He plays rook to d6. I just go d5, not to lose it, not to come backwards. And he plays g6. Finally, I thought he comes to an idea to activate his king, because when the king comes, let's say, jumps all the way to e5, of course, my opponent will be completely fine. So I need to be active, I need to stop that, and I need to activate my king first. I don't care about any pawns, frankly. All I need to do is to bring my king, help my passer, and promote the queen. So what am I doing? I don't take the pawn, I just play king to f3. Once you understand your idea clearly, it's so much simpler for you to find the right move. My opponent plays rook to f6. Should I worry about the f2 pawn? Well, what is my plan? My plan is to promote the pawn. I don't care. I just play king to f4. I want to go forward with the king because that is the piece that is gonna make sure that I'm gonna promote. He takes one of my pawns, he attacks another one of my pawns. Should I worry about that? What is my plan? My plan is to promote. So that is exactly what I'm doing. I'm playing king to e5. Nothing else matters. If your idea is powerful and strong enough, nothing else matters. Rook takes f2. I'm playing d6, and notice that this king never ever went to participate in the game. And this is basically like having an extra rook, because the king in the endgame is as powerful as the rook if you use it correctly. So he plays rook to e2 check, I just play king to f6, I want to go forward, he plays rook to d2, and now king to e6. My pawn is ready to go forward. If you play rook e2 check, I can just block it with my rook. And finally here, he activates his key. But I'm saying, okay, it's great that you have realized that. Unfortunately, it's way too late. Why? Because now I'm just playing d7, he plays king f8, and he is just one move away from at least starting to give those checks. And I'm just playing rook to f5 check, kicking the king away one more time. And then I'm playing rook to d5, blocking the rook, and d8 is unstoppable. My opponent resigns. Imagine how cool it would be to play chess without ever having opening troubles again. What if I told you I could teach you all openings you will ever need in just 10 days? You get lifetime access to more than 110 pure value video tutorials, almost 100 practical tasks to apply your knowledge immediately into practice, 30 plus bonus videos to dive 10 times deeper, as well as private community where all questions you might ever have are answered daily. Get the $200 limited time discount with the link in the description and forget about all opening pain once and for all. If you want to learn more about how to find the right plan in the endgame, then this video is perfect for you, because I'm sharing with you powerful endgame principles that you must use if you want to bring your endgame technique to a completely new level.